Hello, I am the Ronin Pawn, and this is NationStates, and this is the rogue nation of Pawtucky, where we are growing Revlon makeup ad girls, apparently. And this is her younger sister. Pawtucky is ranked 52,320th in the world and 39th in Pennsylvania for most extensive public health care. What are you kidding me? There are people, how many people are even in Pennsylvania that were 39th on the healthcare? Healthcare is very important to me. We contain 69 nations, the 190th most in the world, and half of them are better than me in healthcare? Well, I will fix that today. Bring me forward some health issues. Schools in the summer! Your education minister recently proposed abolishing the traditional Pawtuckian school schedule, which included seasonal breaks, and replacing it with one in which school days were evenly distributed over an entire year. In response, concerned administrators, parents, and educators have asked for your support. Oh, this will be a tricky issue, because technically, studies show that kids get dumber over this. It's a bad thing for their overall education, and really it's linked to, agricultural needs of the past. It's probably all in here if you read it. Oh, everyone knows how much time parents and educators waste regurgitating the same information every year, complains obnoxious parent Clara Rivera, seen wearing a "My child is an honor roll student" button. And I've been behind her car in traffic too. I don't care what your child's GPA is. Put on the gas! Students often forget things when they spend long periods of time without learning. In order for these young minds to flourish, we should keep the same number of weeks of education per annum, but spread them out evenly across the year. That will make Pawtucky's children's successes even more pronounced. That is a statistical truth. I cannot argue with that. That is ridiculous. Someone can, though. Can you imagine all the overhaul that would require? Questions Principal Herschel Zoidberg. Oh, Zoidberg, you're here. After giving two of your squabbling aides a timeout, the budget is strapped enough as it is. A better solution would be to allow each school to determine its own schedule. That's better for the administrative workings of this public school system and our finances. Besides, educators need breaks too. Teaching those little hellions is far more stressful than it looks. Well, I'm glad you're in charge. The aides begin squabbling again, prompting a stern glare from the principal. You two, my office, now! It's just like a movie from the 80s, isn't it? Restructuring alone won't keep our children ahead of the curve, opines Melania Fernandez, comptroller of the Slushfundia District School Board. Does anyone in the world know what a comptroller does? You always see them on the ballots. I've considered running for it because, nobody knows what they do, and somebody's got to do the job, and I'm sure the government pays a salary for that. Who had been grading everyone on their posture and speeches? What we need to do is to make education free and mandatory all year round. 52 weeks a year, 6 days a week. Yes, that means massive spending towards the education budget, but you can't put a price on knowledge. Well, I guess you can, depending on how much goes into the budget. Well, okay, so remove children of their lives and teach them that the only thing that's truly important is learned knowledge. Not necessarily experiential. No. How about no? How about no? I like this idea of having the same number of weeks of schooling, but it's just spaced out across the year. It is going to cause hell for parents, because you can rely on the fact that your kids are in school these days a week. Society at large kind of relies on the public school system as daycare for their children. Otherwise, they have to. So it's gonna make hell for everybody, everywhere. But it makes sense. It makes sense. They still have a life. It makes sense. The family summer vacation has become a thing of the past following the introduction of the year-round school year. I am sorry. And at the same time, I'm not, because you guys get every other day off. Every other week you got 2 or 3 days off, Don't complain to me. 50 issues. We turned 50 issues, people, and parents compete for homes in top school zones. Our children are getting even smarter. That's the only thing probably keeping us out of, complete failure as a nation at this point is the kids, because, man, our economy sucks, doesn't it? Budget time, accountants excited. It's time for the government to allocate spending for the coming year, and as always, special interest groups are keen to have their say. The state of the education system is, in many areas, simply I just fixed it, says teachers union leader Hiro Man. And even where we are doing well, we could do better. I appeal to the authorities for a substantial boost in funding. Remember, the children are... I just fixed it. Go suck a lime. We won't have a future unless we improve police numbers and rebuild the military, says General Mia Skywalker. Oh, it's all well and good to have your fancy education and your nice cars until some tin pot dictatorship decides to invade. And don't pretend like there aren't any of them in our region. Our number one priority has to be security. So this is just me deciding who gets funding for the year. If there are any decisions where I get money, that's what we're going with. Education is nice, but health and social welfare are important. What did we start the episode on? Says celebrity social worker Thomas Berlusconi. This is where the people who really need government help are. The marginalized of our society. If we don't help them, what kind of nation are we? Exactly. You win. Except I gotta read this guy first. Hey, I got a crazy idea, says noted libertarian and bird watcher Basil Hackett. How about the government stops taking so much tax from people? Give us a tax cut. Health and welfare. A well-funded social safety net protects the unfortunate. Who's 32nd in Pennsylvania now? State schools shine in latest rankings. Economic slump minor, temporary expert says. Race row after woman ejected from store. A race row? After, I would think a gender row, perhaps. I'm no hero, says heroic Pontuckian. They did come by to interview me. I'm no hero. Bigtopian bigwigs beset border. Bigtopian bigwigs beset border. Sibilantly. And also, that's hard to say. Bigtopian bigwigs beset border. Bigtopian bigwigs... No, can't. Following a better civil conflict in Bigtopia that led to the overthrow of a dictatorial regime, leading officials from the deposed government are seeking refuge in Kentucky. The new Bigtopian government is accusing these people of war crimes and has demanded their extradition. Your Minister for Foreign Affairs, Zach Leshire, echoes the pleas of the international community. These individuals are responsible for decades of oppression, the genocide of millions of Bigtopians, and horrific war crimes. Their leader isn't called the Butcher of Bigtopia for his carving skills. Or perhaps he is. We can't just step aside and neglect our duties to their victims. These men must face justice in Bigtopia, whatever their fate. I mean, if they earned it, they deserve it, sure. I vehemently disagree. Oh, sorry. Says defense lawyer Magnus Scheer, running a comb through his hair and handing you his business card. Now is the time for hasty action. Wait, it's not the time for hasty action. Let me just check this with my, what are we doing today, Deborah? Oh, it's the other meeting? Okay. Bigtopia is not a stable state yet. Send these people back and you're throwing them to the mob. They've committed no crime in Kentucky and they've come here for our help. Show some decency and let them stay. You mean like in a prison cell, or are you saying just like, let them through? Because from what the first guy said, I have an idea, interjects Werner von Grün from the Department of Defense. That was so fun to say that name. Amongst these refugees are several top Bigtopian scientists. They may have carried out some terrible experiments with WMDs, but can we really afford to lose their expertise? Let them join our team at the Hexagon, and we'll develop weapons the envy of Pennsylvania. After all, once the missiles go up, who cares where they came from? Oh, God, I'm feeling kind of evil today. Not that evil, apparently, because, listen, the future of a recovering country depends on the people spilling the blood of the people who oppressed them for a long time. Really? Yep. You know, you need closure in order to move forward. If you don't have closure, you'll be holding on to it forever. So, off with their heads. Viva la revolution! Foreigners with shady pasts are fleeing the country. What can you do, you know? Maybe shouldn't have killed people in the first place. Karma is a bitch. Kittens become softer, scientists say. How could I have possibly made the world a better place that is sweeter and softer? But, well, you know, maybe they were just that bad. Comedy drama rule box office as action flicks fail. Family flip flu. What's next? Shoot to earn or what a waste? Well, that image reminds me of when I look out my window, so let's save that for the end. What a waste! Nuclear energy, the source of much of your growing nation's electricity, has been generating radioactive waste as a byproduct. As the shadows cast by the mounting piles of roaring, emblazed concrete casks grow ever longer, a concerned populace is looking to you for a more permanent solution. Okay, permanent solution, smaller nuclear generation power sites that use tiny amounts of uranium that are embedded in these spheres that radiate the heat, but when they're done, they're completely, and you just throw the balls away and then you pick up another one, and they're way easier to store. There will be a lot of them, though. Oh yeah, is that the issue? That's the issue. There's a boring and sensible approach, suggests corduroy-clad, gray-haired engineer Akira Tavener. just before turning into a giant wolf beast and consuming everything. Rolling out a blueprint in front of you and ignoring the yawns of those attending the presentation. My team has determined several sites for the construction of an extremely deep shaft underground to dispose of the nuclear waste. It's relatively inexpensive. We can mostly guarantee that the waste will never reach the surface, and it will be far surface to... Let me tell you his story, says Stanley Lay, the local representative of a protest group, Citizens Rejecting Atomic Power. Crap. One day, some bad companies mix up this toxic cocktail that can poison people for thousands or millions of years. Then, they bury it and think nothing more of it. Then, some kid in 10,000 years winds up a one-eyed mutant cyclops and has no clue why. Turn off the reactors, buddy, and find a better way. Sure, it's hard, but people like us have to make hard decisions. What's wrong with being a one-eyed mutant cyclops? Worked out pretty well for the leader of the X-Team. Once again, science has the answer, proclaims physics professor Beverly Chan, striking her best heroic pose and pointing symbolically to the distant horizon. Vitrification, ion exchange, sign rock. The hell are these words? We can separate out the components of the waste, burn off the long-lived stuff in fast reactors, reallocate the plutonium to weapons manufacture, and leave only short-lived waste that lasts merely hundreds of years. This will mean that we will not run out of fuel, and the environment will be spared from contamination. Increased industrial expenses? Of course. Necessary security costs and extensive safety regulations? Yes. Sure. Whatever. But awesome super science? Triple yes, yes, yes. So it's going to cost a lot of money for us to get there, but apparently what we end up with in the end is we get to burn more of our nuclear waste for energy. We end up with plutonium to manufacture weapons, so for security, and the only waste remaining it burns out in 100 years or so. That sounds like a pretty good investment, and I know we don't have a lot of money right now, or ever. But as, you know, my people, they only make like 30 grand a year, and that's if they're doing well. So I have to spend their money wisely, and this would be an investment in the future. Also, having like a really refined nuclear science program means the education and welfare of this and something else that justifies that. I like that. Click accept. Nuclear physics is the most popular course at university. That's what I was trying to say. Tax increase vital to funding Pontuckian innovation. Economist says peace of mind priceless. Say fast-growing insurance firms. National parks proving popular. Environmental program falls. But does anyone know what? What? I just did a good thing for the whoa, atomic age. Build bigger bombs. Yeah, that was a nice, bonus out of the deal. The plutonium. Wow, there's a lot of red and a lot of green. Authoritarian is up 10%. Just because we got some plutonium in. God, what does everyone have against it? It is a perfectly legitimate atomic thing. Oh, Christ, the economy just bottomed out, too. 18.1% tank. I know we had to spend a lot of money for it. What do you want from me? What am I supposed to do except go on to the last issue? Shoot to earn. With the smoke clearing in war-torn Tasmania, the international community has begun discussing a peacekeeping effort. As your neighbors in Pennsylvania have started logistical preparations, Pontucky has now been called upon to contribute. Oh, okay. One of our neighboring nations in the region of Pennsylvania. Cool. The truth is we're not capable of contributing to a peacekeeping effort as of today, states your top military advisor, Daniel Perez, while polishing his only medal. That would require a substantial reorganization of our forces for international peacekeeping. Give me the time and the means to build up a modern army, and I'll have Tasmania off the map in no time. Well, there's an excellent solution to your problem. Nuke 'em. I'll keep the peace in no time, or whatever, just give me the money. Alright, thank you for showing up. Who is this guy? Is that medal real? I can think of 1,000 reasons why rebuilding the army is a bad idea, says Nick Watterson, a prudent young advisor from the Ministry of Finance, but you really only need the one, the expense. And for what? Tasmania? In 2 years, they'll just have another civil war. If you absolutely must polish our reputation, throw some aid money their way. Not a lot, mind you, but just enough to get those do-gooders off our backs. We're a little financially tight right now. I'm looking at a third option where I just say, meh. Which is probably what this is. You know, there's another way to get boots on the ground, says Judy Davis, a Maxtopian mercenary, calling from a shaky mobile connection while rinsing today's war crimes out of her khakis. My civilian contractors are highly trained and disciplined men and women. Well, They're highly trained, ready to supply logistics, transport, and security. We can easily supply foreigners to help keep the peace for you, and it saves you the discomfort of having Pontakian soldiers die in far-flung corners of the world. So what I'm hearing today, considering our financial state, is money, not as much money. I'm not even considering. Listen, you just picked me on the wrong day. Okay, come back on a day where I'm not going through the couch cushions for the national budget. The nation is known as the cheapskates of Pennsylvania. Well, we just created the most advanced nuclear physics program in all of the world. So excuse us if we're a little tight right now. I am the Ronin Pawn. Old woman waits in vain for help crossing road. Will somebody help the old woman? I know I killed the Boy Scouts. We needed the money. Pawn out.